Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Welcome to all for this session on Ganesha Purana to chapter 37. In the previous chapter, we have heard the story of Mukunda and Rukmangada, how Rukmangada rejected the seduction by Mukunda and then walked out, and whatever curse that was placed on Rukmangada by Mukunda was finally cleared after he took a dip in Chintamani Ganesha Kunda. But on the other side, Mukunda, who was burning with her passion for Rukmangada, she was misused by the king of demigods, Indra, who took the form of Rukmangada and played with that lustful woman. And because of that reason, she conceived a baby and thus born the great sage named Grithsamada. But unfortunately, in a great assemblage of sages, Grithsamada, though being highly knowledgeable, he was insulted by even great sage like Atri, who questioned him, "Who is your father?" But at that moment, Grithsamada, who got insulted, he returned back to home and he started the quarrel with his mother. But the mother accepted the fact and she told him that was the only one time in her life that she was burned with passion and the desire for somebody else other than her husband. And it was not her fault because in a woman, when the passion starts burning, she cannot control it. And that, of course, happened with the men too. But women, being herself a one who gives birth to a child, when she was taken over, when she is consumed by the passion, it is difficult for the woman to control. Grithsamada, having the knowledge of all the four Vedas, was very much aware of the problem of women. But he, at that moment, in a fit of anger against his mother, because he was insulted in a great assemblage, he placed a curse on his mother, which turned her into a thorny bush where no bird was coming near to her. But then she was also angry, without even considering that she was the mother. Gritsamada placed a curse on her. So she too cursed Gritsamada, saying that your son will going to be the most evil person who will torment all the triple world. So he will become a demon. So, cursing like this, both the mother and son they walked out of the place. But in the meantime, there was a voice from unknown or voice from the atmosphere, probably the voice from the heaven, announcing that Gritsamada is son of Indra. Now, the meantime, Mukunda was already turned into a thorny bush. Brahma continued the story. First of all, the wandering sage Kritsamada visited the forest called Pushkara. It was filled with many trees and creepers, was beautiful with multitudes of flowers, and was adorned with the waters of mountain torrents and the best young sages. Gritsamada bowed to them. Here, specific mention about the young sages. It is most of the time, it is a people who happens to be the senior most, who happens to be quite aged, who have spent a lot of time gaining the knowledge. It is such people often make the mistake of questioning the lineage of an individual, irrespective of the knowledge that a person has gained. So he now came into a Pushpaka forest where he met the best among the young sages who are not much bothered about the lineage and they only look at the knowledge gained by an individual. Gritsamada bowed to them and with their permission he dwelt there. After he had bathed there, he undertook a recitation while standing on the tip of his big toe and with his mind still meditating on the mighty God, the Lord of all obstacles. with his vision fixed on the end of his nose. That's how exactly, whenever we do the meditation, in order to get a focus, one need to focus at the tip of the nose. Looking neither here nor there, his senses subdued, his breath subdued, his entire self subdued, feeding on air, he performed austerities for 1,000 divine years. But when the sage Grithsamada opened his eyes, it looked about those there arose from the eye a fire which completely scorched the first 30 gods, and apprehensive gods then wondered who might possess this characteristic. So, in fact, what happened? What happened to him? That is, he was cursed, he was actually insulted in the assemblage of sages, became in a way a good thing for Grithsamada. Grithsamada, after knowing the reason why he is being insulted, so he decided to have the fame for himself. He decided to have the greatness for himself. So he came into this forest of Pushkara and started doing a very strong austerities, feeding himself only on the air. He was standing only on his big toe, and for 1,000 years. Of course, one might be wondering whether anyone really live for 1,000 years. But when you live a day fully, considering every second of the day, considering every minute, every second, every hour of the day, then every day will be equivalent to an year. Spending a day will be like an year. Most of the time, we spend our day without knowing what exactly we are doing. By the time it becomes the morning, then it becomes the afternoon, then it becomes the evening, and then simply we go to the bed having done nothing in that day. But the people who live fully for every second with a mindful way of living, for them a day is equivalent to a year. And that way, if you stand for 1,000 days, which may be around 3 years, if you stand for 1,000 days, that would be equivalent to standing there for 1,000 years. And even that itself is very difficult to do. And with that, from his eyes, a fire was buzzing out, and that fire was troubling all the gods around. All gods are basically energy that is existing in this world, so it is burning all of them, and they were wondering about who is the one possessing this characteristic. Then, undertaking a supreme effort and eating only one fallen leaf and nothing else, he became an utterly stationary pillar. He stood like a pillar, consuming only one fallen leaf every day. His mind immovable, he performed austerities for 15,000 years. After that, Vinayaka had seen his unbearable distress. He manifested himself, Vinayaka manifested himself, shining brightly in order to show favor to him. Just as a cow runs quickly after hearing the cry of her calf, so too the god Ganesha went quickly to Grithsamada. While eliminating everything with his fiery energy, the equivalent of 1,000 suns, elegant with his huge tusk, his flapping ears were moving. Shaking pleasurably with joy, Ganesha's forehead was glittering moon, garlanded with huge lotuses, foundation of the universe's cause. Because Ganesha himself is the foundation for the cause of the universe. Lotus stack in his hand, an assembly of servants bowing around him. He was mounted on a lion and was 10 armed. Ganesha was with the 10 arms. His sacrificial thread, a snake. He was smeared with saffron, aloe, musk, and sweet smelling sandalwood. Was accompanied by his two wives, Siddhi and Buddhi, and he was glorious, greater in splendor than a myriad of suns. Though his own form was indescribable, he appeared before that sage because of his divine play, and his fiery energy consumed the fiery energy of the great sage, just as the sun does in respect of the splendor of the moon and the planets. Closing his eyes, the sage shook tremulously because he was so agitated and insensible. He fell to the ground, the good result of his meditation just simply forgotten because of the appearance of Vinayaka. The meditation of the sage was disturbed and he was forced to open his eyes. But once again, while he was meditating in his mind on the salubrious Gajanana, the bewildered sage was really pondering the cause of his obstacle. What has caused this unexpected agitation to appear in my mind? From now on, will all my austerities prove to be in a vain? Lord of the gods, universal self, protect me from this dreadful obstacle. To whom else besides you can I go for refuge? O Lord of the universe, O God, I constantly experience massive distress because Atri said about me he is not to be respected in our company, and that still burns in my heart. An insult keeps burning in the heart of Grithsamada even after meditating for so many thousands of years, and with appearance of Vinayaka, as he was not knowing how great Gajanana, how the supreme deity would look like, he thought it was an obstacle. Brahma continued. After hearing him lamenting in this way, Vinayaka spoke to Grithsamada. O Grithsamada, know that it is I, Gananayaka, who has come to confer a favor for you. This has never been attained by Sanaka and so forth. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, these are the great sages who are mind born, who are born from Brahma, and they were always performing austerities towards Gajanana. Even they could not able to attain what you have attained. Who took an austere restraint for a long time, abandoning your fear, declare whatever your wish for, O excellent sage. I am satisfied with your unending austerity on your standing on your big toe. After he had heard the God of God's splendid speech, Gritsamada became sunk in his own bliss and bowed prostrate to him. Supremely happy, he spoke to the boon giver Vinayaka. Gritsamada said, my life of restraint and austerity has now attained its fruit because of appearance of Vinayaka. Here is he whose body is wholly bliss, who is without form, yet who is Brahma embodied. That means Brahma who is formless in a form is Vinayaka. Now that I have seen you in person, what can I possibly request, O Lord? Even so, with your permission, I will request one thing, O Dviradanana. Dviradanana is a name of Gajanana, mentioning that he is having two mouths. O God, humans are the very best among the 8,400,000 species, and amongst humans, that means humans are considered to be the best among 8,400,000 species, and amongst humans, O illustrious one, the classes are the very best, and of them classes is basically called as varna system in India. This class is not like upper class or lower class kind of a thing. The classes is the word that we can use it from English, but the varna system, what is being originally told in Indian ancient times, yeah, according to the Varna system, the people who are interested, who have the aspect of gaining the knowledge, are considered as a class of Brahmins. The people who are always after their powerfulness, the political aspects, are are about protecting the people, like the police people, like the military people, like the people who become politicians. These are the kind class of people who are called kshatriyas. And the class of people who turned out to become entrepreneurs, they are called as vaishyas. Not everybody will be having aspect for the knowledge, or aspect for the power, or aspect to be an entrepreneur. Most of them are satisfied with a 9 to 5 job that will earn them a decent salary. And that class of people who simply offer service to the society, they are called as Shudras. And in other way, Shudras are only bothered about themselves by earning their salary. Whereas the class of entrepreneurs, the Vaishya class, they are also bothered about the economy of the society, whereas the class of Kshatriyas are bothered about running the society and protecting the society, while the class of Brahmins are bothered about the entire world, how this world can be taken forward in a rightful way. So it is based upon their capabilities, based upon their interests, based upon their not based upon how exactly is their mind, how exactly is their capabilities. So the class was divided. So among these classes, Brahmins are considered as the best, because they are the ones who go after the knowledge, and they are bothered about the entire world. Unlike the Kshatriyas, who are bothered only about a small region, or a class of Vaishyas who are bothered only about their enterprise, and the Shudras who are bothered only about them. Comparatively, among them, Brahmins are considered as the best. And again, it is not by birth, though in a later days it was considered more by birth, but in the past it was considered more by their abilities. And of them, even among the Brahmins, those who are wise are superior, and amongst even those wise, those who are devoted to personal service of the God, and amongst them those who know Brahma, those who have understood the concept of Brahma, who pervades the entire world, the single supreme deity who is formless, who is the foundation of the universe, from whom the entire world is made, who is the Lord of the universe. So one who had the understanding of the Brahma is considered the supreme. Please give me knowledge and knowledge of that Brahma, devotion to you that is absolutely rock solid, and which I will never cease to recollect, and the highest position of devotee amongst all your devotees, O Gajanana. So he wanted to be the best among the devotees of Gajanana. And O beneficent God, there is one another boon which I would like to request you. Give me a special place for your worship, one capable of attracting the inhabitants of triple world, which will be famed in the three worlds and will be worthy of homage from gods and men. This again is another aspect with most of the people who performed austerities. That when they saw the supreme deity appearing before them, they used to ask him to identify a spot where he will going to remain there. That means basically a divine spot on the earth, which will be having a terrible importance, which will going to have a supreme importance, that if someone else comes to that particular spot, someone else comes to that particular divine spot, he will be filled with blissfulness, and he will be blessed with everything in this world. So that it will be a spot for the spiritual practice of the people who will come in future. It is around this concept that temples in India are built. The temples are not built for the sake of performing prayers at the convenience of the people in a place that is closer to where the people are residing. Instead of that, the temples are built at the divine spots, which may be far away from the living area, which may be on the top of a mountain, which may be in a remote place, and most of the time it is around these divine spots. Later, the cities were built so that would help the people who took a pilgrimage to such divine spots. And the very aspect of taking a pilgrimage in India basically meant that you would visit such great divine spots where, if you perform meditation, your spiritual practice will grow multitudes within a short time. Please try visiting great places like Tirupati or Kashi or Rameshwara or Gaya or Prayaga. So many, Kedara, Badri, Puri or Dwaraka. So many other places are there. So if you visit that particular spot, divine spot, please try to perform the meditation what would have been told to you, or what you may be practicing all your life. If you are having that divine sensitivity in yourself, sensitivity to your body, sensitivity to your mind, and sensitivity to that divine energy, you will certainly going to experience something special in that particular spot that will give you a tremendous spiritual experience. And that is how spots are identified. And in that same list comes the spot called as Ayodhya, where people are now aspiring to build a great temple for Rama, because we don't know whether Rama was really born in that place or not. But that particular spot where they will going to place the idol, and the space around that particular place is having a divine speciality. One need to go there, perform your meditation, and you will experience the greatness of that particular spot. And that is the reason why many people who follow the Indian culture, they insisted upon building a temple in that great spot at Ayodhya. Unlike the prayer halls, the temples in India are the divine spots to boost your spiritual energy. So here Grithsamada is requesting Gajanana to identify one such divine spot where the people who comes later can perform their spiritual activities. O bringer of all desires, if you are satisfied, do this for me, O Vignesha, and cause the forest called Pushkara to become renowned. O Lord of the gods, staying there always fulfill the wishes of your devotees and cause this city of Pushpaka to become especially famous across the four directions by the name of Ganesha city, Gajanana, so that this city where Pritsamada performed the austerities and got the appearance of Gajanana need to become a famous divine spot. Having heard this speech, Dhiradanana spoke to him. Good, good, O great armed man, when I'm pleased, O bull of the sages, nothing in the three worlds is difficult for devotees to obtain. Whatever your request, O Brahmin, you will have, and because I am pleased, O Brahmin, you will acquire what is difficult to obtain, O sage, because you recited the Vedic mantra Gananantva. You will become the sage of that mantra. Because all this time, while he was doing the austerities, he was repeating that mantra that begins with Gananam Tva. So he is Grithsamada is considered as the sage who had initiated, who created that particular mantra. All Vedic mantras, each of those Vedic mantras are created by one of the great sage. And whenever we are uttering those mantra, we first name that particular sage, saying that this mantra was created by that particular sage, and it is in this particular vritta, it is in this particular form, the very way the mantra is being created. So, what form it is, and it is directed towards which particular god, and what is the purpose of that particular mantra. These are told always in the beginning of a mantra before uttering them. You will be famous everywhere and you will achieve the highest eminence amongst the gods led by Brahma and the sages led by Vasista. Remember, he was earlier insulted in the assemblage of the sages, but now he will be famous everywhere, having the highest eminence even among the sages. Those who practice recollection firstly to you and later to me. So whoever thinks of Gana mantra called as Gana Anantva, they'll first think about Grithsamada and then they will think about Gajanana, and they will attain success in all activities they undertake. To attain success, first they need to remember Grithsamada and then they need to remember or pay their salutes to Gajanana. Without knowledge of the hymns to the sages and the gods, activity is fruitless. Without having the knowledge of those Vedic mantras, no activity, no divine activity will bear any fruit. You will also have a powerful son who will frighten all the gods and achieve great fame in all the three worlds. In fact, his mother Mukunda cursed him, saying that your son will become a torrent, will going to create a lot of problem for all the three worlds. Now Gajanana is blessing him. You will get a very powerful son who will going to frighten all the gods and achieve a great fame. Except for Rudra, none of the gods will be able to defeat your son. He will be devoted to me. His life will depend on me. He will be grounded in me. And he will be wholly intent upon me. And this city will be named Pushkara in Krita age, and Manipura in Treta age, Hanaka in Dwapara age and the Kali age. It will become, in the Kali age, it will become famous in the world under the name Bhadraka. Even today, Bhadraka forest does exist where people used to go and perform their spiritual activities. By gift giving and bathing there, one will attain all of one's wish. Brahma, concluding the story, he said, having given these very boons to him, the Lord immediately disappeared from there. And after he had disappeared, the sage erected an image for Ganesha there and also built a beautiful temple. He determined that its name would be Varada because of giving boons, Varada for everyone, evermore. But eventually, due to the favor of Ganesha, it became Siddhisthana, yet, because it nourishes everybody's wishes, it is called the Pushpaka sacred place. Filled with the feeling of devotion, he then worshipped that image. Whoever might hear this tale of the excellent appearance of splendid Vignaraja, the Lord of Sages, will obtain all his wishes and rock solid devotion towards Gajanana, and he will be released from transmigration. Thus ends the 37th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which we have seen how Grithsamada could able to get the appearance or the vision of Ganesha in front of him. And what we learn from this particular story is one may be insulted by even great sage like Atri, saying that he was born to somebody else and his mother might have committed a mistake. And because of that reason, if he consider them very seriously, then all his life he has to wander around with his head hung down in shame. But one who is so determined can perform great austerities like Grithsamada and become one of the sage who created hymns of the Rig Veda and various other Vedas, and with that he is considered as much more a famous devotee of Gajanana, so that Gajanana himself blessed him, saying that before remembering Gajanana, one need to remember Vitsamada. That is the fame attained by one who earlier was insulted, humiliated in the assemblage of sages, and with his determination got a great place among them. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmira Puravasini, Tvamaham Pratyaye Nityam, Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.